Well, we're a little more than a week through NFL free agency this offseason, so I figured it was time to come on here and do another mock draft because free agency will shake up some things when it comes to the draft next month. There's no question about it. Some teams will reprioritize their draft boards according to need, whether they'll say so or not. And for other teams, they have filled their needs and they'll be able to sit there now and just go with the best player available philosophy. So you'll look down below in the description box. You'll see my updated 2-round mock draft, another edition with trades. Trades always make it interesting, and trades are always a part of the NFL draft every year. So that's exactly what I've done here. I actually even threw in, I believe, a few second-round trades before I got towards the end of the round 2, and I kind of lost interest, so I just hurried up and got it done. So what are some of the most notable things that you'll see out of my 2-round mock draft down below? First, you'll see that I do have the Philadelphia Eagles moving all the way up to number 2 from number 20 to get Marcus Mariota, the quarterback out of Oregon. I'm sorry. I can't see where Sam Bradford is a system fit. I can't see where Sam Bradford makes sense for the Philadelphia Eagles unless it is because the Tennessee Titans value Sam Bradford, and they want to be able to get Bradford in some picks to be able to peel back because they're not sold with anybody at the top of the draft board, and as a result, they're willing to move back, and the Eagles want to move up and get their guy in Mariota. And in this particular case, this is a scenario that I had playing out, and it set other things into motion. Some of you may be surprised by me having the Jaguars take Kevin White out of West Virginia, number 3 overall, considering they spent 2 second-round picks last year on wide receivers and guys like Allen Robinson and Marquise Lee. The fact that it looks like they'll have Justin Blackmon coming back into the fold in 2015. The fact that undrafted rookie Allen Hurd showed some flashes and some moments in 2014. Well, let's look at it this way. Justin Blackmon, you can really count on him to do anything? I don't think so, especially, again, since he'll be entering his 4th season. This will be the last year of his contract. You've also got Allen Robinson and Marquise Lee. You've got one guy that projects more as a number 2 wide receiver at the NFL level, and another guy that maybe is a slot guy in Marquise Lee, and Allen Hurns, who is maybe a role player. You've got a young quarterback in Blake Bortles. You need to help him. You need to surround him with pieces. That's the key to your organizational success long term. And where there's no offensive lineman really worth taking at number 3 overall, there is a wide receiver, especially a guy who projects to be a number 1 type of wide receiver at the National Football League level, that is worth taking at number 3 and is available at number 3. And therefore, in my opinion, that's who the Jacksonville Jaguars should select at this point in time. Some of you might be surprised to see me having Dante Fowler going number 4 to the Raiders instead of somebody like Leonard Williams. I look at Leonard Williams, and I got to be honest, I don't quite see it. I have Danny Shelton rated higher as a player. I think he's a bit of a media hype. We have those players every year. Now, I still think Leonard Williams is a very talented player. He has tremendous upside. He could be a big-time producer at the NFL level. I'm just not sure and sold on the fact that he's going to go somewhere between picks 2 and 4. And I look at a guy like Fowler, a guy who brings some versatility to the table for Jack Del Rio, a team that desperately needs help at defensive end. And when you look at the different edge rushers in this draft, Dante Fowler, with his strength and with his ability to use his hands and his versatility and athleticism, to me, is the guy that is most properly suited out of the other guys like Beasley and Shane Ray and Randy Gregory and maybe to a lesser degree Bud Dupree. Dante Fowler is the safest option and the most likely to actually be able to stick at defensive end at the NFL level. And imagine a pass rush that features Dante Fowler and Khalil Mack and C.O. Moore. That's some scary stuff. That's a nice young athletic defense on the edges for Jack Del Rio. You'll see I have Danny Shelton going number 5 to the Redskins. You'll see I have the Browns moving up to number 6 to take Leonard Williams because they might be afraid that the Bears would take him. Remember a little while back I did a mock where I had the Bears taking Amari Cooper at number 7 and I was mocked for it. And who's laughing now? Pace has said, the general manager, that he believes in best player available philosophy. Well, at that point in time, I guess you could argue that Amari Cooper might fit into that best player available category. If he's there and you feel it's right, you have to take him. Screw defensive needs because you have needs on the offensive side of the ball too. Again, you went 5-11 and you just traded Brandon Marshall. You've got needs all over the place. Some of you may be surprised to see I have a corner going in the top 10 in Trae Wayne. Some of you may not be. Here's my philosophy behind this. Here's a corner with size that can run. He can fly. He tested very well at the combine. And every year, one of these corners like that always shoots up the draft board and always seems to find a way to sneak into the top 9 or top 10 picks. When you look at the St. Louis Rams, one thing they're really missing is a big-time difference maker in the secondary, especially at the corner position, even though some might counter Janoris Jenkins. He has his moments, but he's not that type of guy. Trae Waynes could be that type of guy. And for a Rams team that values speed, athleticism, pure physical talent, a guy like Trae Waynes makes a lot of sense, just like when I have the Rams trading back up into the bottom portion of round 1 because they have the flexibility to do so, to gamble on a guy like Dorial Green-Beckham. I had him drop a little bit here because of situation and circumstances, but you look at him, a Rams team who would have to be very excited about the thought of getting a Trae Waynes and a Dorial Green-Beckham out of this year's first round. Now, for Falcons fans, fuck you. I had you taking Todd Gurley at number 16, but seriously, I had you trading down twice. There's usually, it seems like, one team that's willing to trade down a couple of times. In this scenario, it just happened to work out where it was the Atlanta Falcons. If you're upset with trading down from number 8 to number 16, accumulating some additional picks for later in the draft, and still being able to walk out with a talent like Todd Gurley, then you're stupid. Period. Why in the hell would you not want that? There's a part of me that did this specifically because I wanted to fuck with you Falcon fans. Yes, that includes you, Ashton. I wanted to sit there and rub it in your fucking faces. But how could you be upset about that? How could you be mad about that? Because at that point in time, once you get around pick 16, I think that's where we really start to get into the Gurley territory. That is where we could potentially start looking at teams that could gamble on him, that could take the chance on him, knowing what he could be. And you look at a guy like Dan Quinn, coming from the Seahawks, seeing what Marshawn Lynch brought to the table. You don't think that he wants to establish a physical identity on offense, that he doesn't want to have his Marshawn Lynch type of guy? Well, he would have that type of guy in Todd Gurley. The Falcons have a lot of the same type of running backs, and they're not Todd Gurley, Marshawn Lynch types. Todd Gurley can be a Marshawn Lynch type. The Falcons, if they did this in this scenario, would have to take Todd Gurley. Hell, I argue they should take him at number 8. But again, the Falcon fans would be pissed, and they'll suck again next year. In terms of some guys that are dropping, you'll notice I have Randy Gregory going to 22 to Pittsburgh, even though they need help in the secondary. They also need help at the pass rush position. It's funny, a guy that reminds me a lot of Jarvis Jones in many ways would end up playing alongside Jarvis Jones in Pittsburgh, and that's just how it works. You'll see Landon Collins I've got going all the way to number 25. He might not drop quite that far, but Carolina Panther fans would have to be incredibly excited if this type of guy did fall all the way to 25. While he might be best as an in-the-box safety, he's a little bit more athletic than he's given credit for, and he's a guy that would go along with some of the recent Panthers first-round picks, guys that have really panned out, the Cam Newtons, the Luke Kuechly's, the Star Latule's, the Kelvin Benjamins. The Panthers get it done usually very well when it comes to round 1. The rest of the draft, not so much. They did last year, and if they got a guy like Landon Collins at number 25, screw the need of offensive linemen, screw the need of running back, hell, screw even the need of wide receiver. In round 1, if you got Landon Collins there at 25, you got to strongly consider taking him. So when I look at this draft, I think there will be a big run on running backs in rounds 2 and 3, as I've mentioned before. I think there's going to be a big run on wide receivers through the first 2 rounds in particular. I would anticipate 11 to 12 of them being taken at least. A lot of guys that bring something to the table. Some of you might be surprised to see 2 inside linebackers in the first round, and surprised to see me have Stephone Anthony from Clemson being the first inside linebacker taken and being taken in the top 20. Well, in this scenario, you've got Tennessee trading down from 2 to 20. They've accumulated a bunch of picks. When you also look at the fact that Dick LeBeau is in the fold, we know one thing that Dick LeBeau loves is his linebackers. He values those linebackers, and when he looks at a guy like a Stephone Anthony, he might see a guy like Lawrence Timmons. And since you've already brought in a Brian Arakpo to pair with Derek Morgan on the outside, you need something on the inside to go with Avery Williamson. A guy like Stephone Anthony in this type of situation, you're gambling on athletic upside, and the more I've watched of him at Clemson with watching Vic Beasley and Grady Jarrett, more and more Stephone Anthony's the one that stood out to me. More and more Stephone Anthony's the one I looked at and said he might be the best out of all of these Clemson defensive players at the NFL level, and he might end up representing a pretty good steal for the Titans at number 20 when all was said and done in a few years. And then keep in mind, too, you'll see some names that you're not really sure of going in round 1, guys like Carl Davis, guys like Stephone Anthony. But I assure you of this, is that every year when it comes to the draft process, certain teams value certain things. I look at the Cardinals with Carl Davis. He's kind of that guy that fits their mold of recent first-round picks that they've had. The big, kind of freakish athletes or guys that brought a lot of athleticism and special physical skills to the table, like the Deion Buchanans of the world, the Michael Floyds of the world, what have you. And as a result, you're looking at this and you can sit there and say, hey, this organization has recently went down this path with these type of guys. Even Jonathan Cooper in 2013, they valued him because of his athleticism and his pure physical skills. A guy like Carl Davis might fit the mold again. So you'll see many different trades here, many different things playing out. And again, there's still a month and a half until the draft, so many things are going to change even on my mock drafts. I'll be back next week to do another one, but in the meantime, check out my 2-round mock in the description box down below. Let me know what you think of what I have going on for your team. Let me know what you think of my mock in general. And Falcon fans, if you don't like Gurley and a bunch of additional picks, then fuck you.